Bem-vinda ao Fora do Roteiro. Eu sou a Vanessa Val e estou aqui para cutucar, rir, desenterrar e parir ideias com quem tem coragem de sair do roteiro. Se vieste para agradar, talvez este podcast não seja para ti. Se vieste para despertar, então senta-te, porque vai começar. E esta semana voltamos a tocar no tema do Tantra, mas desta vez com um twist bem especial. E temos connosco Filipa Moniz. A Filipa Moniz é mestre em Tantra e investidora e renovadora do real estate em Tantra. Vamos já saber o que é que isto é. Antes de mais, deixemos-vos dizer que a Filipa viveu muitos anos no estrangeiro. Então a entrevista vai ser conduzida em inglês, mas vamos deixar aqui todas as legendas em português para vocês poderem acompanhar todo o episódio. Welcome, Filipa, to Fora do Roteiro.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
It's an honor, it's a pleasure to have you here. Again, another Tantra master, and this time with someone that I see, because we already talked a little bit in the beginning before we started the episode about your path to Tantra, and we will get there in a bit. So, Filipa, how long were you in different countries?
Oh, good question. So I spent 18 years living abroad in England, Italy, Australia, US, Switzerland, Bali.
Ooh, I love the last one. I love the last one. And Filipa, I know you didn't start in the spiritual path immediately, right?
Correct, yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So I have been always curious of human health and well-being and how can we live a life not only that is longer but well lived, and we can be at our fullest potential and happy with our body and our capacity. And I would say that before I would research and explore my curiosity in the academic way. So I was a scientist, a biomedical scientist for many years. And then I explored it in the biotechnology way when I entered to pharmaceutical companies and started doing genetic manipulations of human stem cells. And then I discovered that there is a whole world of alternative ways of well-being and medicine. And I started also experiencing those deep healing modalities in my own body. So things that actually regular medicine could not answer, like a simple thing like a broken wrist or twisted wrist, that I spent 2 years doing physiotherapy, and then in one session I got healed from a alternative chiropractic and energetic body worker. So it's just an example, right? And then from that awakening,
You mentioned acuenergetic.
yeah, it was like acupressure and chiropractic. So he cracked the wrist.
Was that in Australia?
That was in Bali.
Okay, because there's this course. I think the guy on top of that is Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, from Australia, and he has this wonderful course on acuenergetics. So I was just trying to understand if it was there that you learned about it or not. But go ahead.
Yeah, that was just the beginning. Then after that, yeah, like you know it as well, right? Once we open the world of energetics, there's so many modalities that then we become more sensitive to, right? So then, yeah, acupuncture and just food and the environment I started healing myself in many different ways, and especially through emotions and looking at emotions related to ancestral patterns and etc. And Tantra was one of those things I came into my awareness at that time.
But how then did you choose for Tantra? How did that happen?
Okay. So for me, it was all at once. It happened during COVID. So I used to be this 32, 33-year-old corporate woman leader with 20 people under me in biggest pharmaceutical company in Switzerland, earning very good, having all the things in life that society, the parents, and yourself believe that's the meaning of success. Yet I was quite deeply unfulfilled deep inside, and I didn't really know why and what was wrong or. And so when COVID arrived, I was like, there's no way I'm going to stay in my apartment, locked down and working alone. I had just broken up with my boyfriend at the time. And so I said, okay, I'll be locked down in paradise. So I'm taking a one-way ticket to Bali tomorrow morning. And I took my laptop, and then my life changed forever. A few days after arriving in Bali, there was also lockdown there. And I entered the only place I found that was staying open and with people, which was a yoga teacher training. And so I stayed 1 month in a beautiful hotel, 5-star in the jungle with everything included, very cheap because there was no tourists. And everything happened within those 4 weeks. I started practicing every day breath work and energetic work and cathartic work and massages and stretching and all of that that awakened the body. And at the same time, I met a tantric man who became my lover, and he taught
How
me.
convenient.
Huh?
How
How
convenient.
It was perfect. It was the total cliche, eat, pray, love. It was very nice. And yeah, and it was very basic, the things he would do me. He didn't do like workshop style, but he basically just started doing some massages in my hips and glutes to relax all the pelvic area before we would make love. So maybe for half an hour or so. And just that was already transformational. And then very basic, like he taught me how to start breathing in a different way during lovemaking. So like to calm down rather to keep the
Mm,
arousal higher, but to actually learn how to stabilize it so it would last longer. And then letting go of the addiction of wanting the climax
mm,
and just learning to enjoy more every moment and feeling everything. So that is very much what the tantric body is the awakening of the senses. So basically it was that was happening to me. I was just becoming more and more sensitive to everything. And yeah, within a few weeks, I also had a Kundalini awakening, and that increased even more the sensitivity.
Is the Kundalini awakening actually what we sometimes see in the internet? People screaming, a lot of, shaking, or is it something more calm, more stable? How was
So
it?
my experience, I understood it's not very common. So from talking afterwards with many people, I heard that yes, it can look like that, very cathartic, like you just
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. Mine was very, very different. It was like in a meditation, yeah, practice. I was just standing looking at nature with my arms open, and I had like what I would call a heart orgasm. So I just felt this expansion from the heart and total state of bliss. And my full body was in a most likely a natural DMT release.
Mm,
And I just felt one with everything and in peace with life
yeah.
and universe. I never experienced anything that strong ever afterwards. I experienced different things that were more like the one you just described. So
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, the body kind of knew what that looks like, but it was not trained enough yet to have strong energetic currents pulsing through. So
Mm-hmm.
every time I would do a lot of spiritual or meditative practices to raise the energy, including simple tantric practices of just eye gazing or something like that. It did happen that once I spent like an hour to 2 hours just shaking on the floor uncontrollably and not really knowing what was happening and trying to ground myself. Um, so what I know now and feel in my body is that also these energetic channels are a muscle. So we kind of need to go to the gym to learn how to use these muscles and to strengthen them so that they are able to hold their electric charge of this current, of this energetic field. And that can be ignited through sexual arousal energy, which is the common path in Tantra. But I think I hear from many people, can also be ignited in other ways, right? Through meditation or through whatever, dance, psychedelics, etc.
Yeah, yeah. And there's two things. One, it's the shaking that you were mentioning. You probably know this better than I do, but animals in nature, usually after stress, they do shake their body to relieve of that current, that electric current. They do shake the body after a traumatic stress. Even dogs do that. They shake their body after something, as a way to release that energy. But we humans, we don't. We are not used to it. We could even dance, we could move, we could shake, but we usually lock in our body all of that tension. So I can assume, and correct me, that at a certain point, when you are working those muscles that you are saying, they need to release all of that so they can recover their natural state, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree. They need to release. And I think, and this kind of situation does not happen at all anymore to me because I let it flow through.
Yeah.
So there is a different level of trust and surrender to the process of energetic flow that before I did not. I was very scared of these things that were happening to me that I did not know. And so now I go into perhaps altered states of consciousness still during lovemaking, but is in a
I'm getting jealous. I'm
bliss.
getting jealous.
It doesn't happen every time, and it doesn't happen with everyone. But yes, now it
It's amazing.
becomes more and more approachable.
That's amazing, really amazing. I think the Tantra world, it's one of the most amazing worlds we have.
Mm.
Because if worked properly, and I believe you would have to have also the right teachers, the right mentors, I would say. And I believe that also something inside of you, right? It's not just, oh, I'm gonna learn and I'm gonna be. No, I think there's has to be something inside of you, and also the blessings of finding the right people to guide you through. Um, and here on Tantra, I know that you work with something very peculiar, which is Tantra meets Shibari. And
Yes.
when I saw your videos, your posts, I was, oh my God, what is this kind of? We are here, we are women, kind of 50 shades of gray. But at the same time, in a totally different manner, way more in depth with yourself and trust and surrender, but in a completely different place from the 50 Shades of Grey, right? How can we, because I think this is so new for me, how can we bind literally and not literally Tantra and uh, bondage, I would say.
Correct.
How,
Yeah.
how do we do this?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that. So let me go back just a little bit, just to give a bit of context. So something that we use in Tantra and I use it a lot, just to help explain the variety of tantric approaches we have
Mm-hmm.
in a simplistic way. We have from white Tantra to pink to red to black. That's how I
Oh.
like to divide it. And
Mm.
I'm sure there's more even. So let's say white Tantra, it's something based on meditation, where you spend many hours in stillness, you spend many hours creating rituals, creating altars, you spend a long time eye gazing, and you arrive to shamanic and transcendental states where you almost don't even need to touch each other. and you orgasm just by meditating together, holding hands, doing simple exercises of body movement together with breath. And it's a tantra that is linked to the upper chakras. So you are really tapping into sacredness at the level of divine worship and I don't know, all the things that are connected to upper chakras. So maybe more intellectual, you use poetry, you use fixing on a fixed point, a lot of things like this. So this is why Tantra. And it can lead to even experiences of transfiguration when the person in front of you kind of changes face and you start seeing a lot of things about this person in front of you, perhaps their past, their future, the whole world. Then we have something called, I like to call it pink tantra, which is where we really embrace the sensuality. And the touch and the sensitivity becomes a really focal point, like I was explaining to you before. So you become very sensitive to every single touch. You explore the qualities of touch. I would say healing types of tantric massage are also included in this type of work. And you become orgasmic just with food and with colors and all of these sensual things, including probably even lap dances and dressing up really expressively and all of these things. Then we can enter a different type of tantra, which I call red tantra, which is when you hold temple spaces where sexuality is welcome in a community space. So there could be also something called temple nights in pink tantra, but the rules would commonly be you wear underwear and there is no any type of penetration or oral sex or sexual or genital stimulation. So you just play with sensuality. When we enter red tantra, it's really something we don't see in society, we don't really see in movies, which is we are praying together at the same time that people are making love next to us. So it's not a sex party, it's not a kink party, it's literally worshiping and honoring a communal space where people can have sex. And the people that are having sex could be couples, but could be also someone that just met on that night. And in one corner, there will be someone meditating, in another corner, there will be someone playing tarot, another corner will be someone praying, another corner will be someone watching everything that is happening. That would be more red tantra. Then when we enter black tantra is the tantra where we explore everything that is on the realm of BDSM. So bondage, submission, dominance, sadomasochism, and everything related to pain. Because now going back to the biomedical scientist in me, we are the only species that feels pain as pleasure. And some of our pain, pleasure things in life are actually pain receptors. One example is spicy food. Spicy food is perceived in our mouth with receptors that are in the family of pain. So every other animal, if they eat spicy food, they don't have pleasure with it. We do. Same thing with sports massage, right? Or anything that tends like is very aggressive to the body, but you feel a release and a pleasure after that, right? So it's about tuning up that level of threshold of pain and pleasure. So shibari would be like, yes, you feel the tightness of the rope. Perhaps there is a little bit of pain, but can you relax into it and surrender and let go? So that's the element of Black Tantra I like to play with. On another level, I use shibari not at all in the context of sexual play. So I use shibari in my retreats in the context of human beings fully dressed. There is no sexual interaction. There could be sensual play. Is a healing modality. So we use the rope as a tool to let go of control and to surrender, to be trusting another person in front of us, to restrict our physical capacity. And I discovered that it's very quick when we use the rope and we use the right kind of music, those two stimulations together, you can completely direct people to a certain type of archetype. So that's another topic we can open up right now. So the thing I really like to do in these Tantra meets Shibari retreats is that I like to explore what it means to be a light feminine, a dark feminine, a light masculine, and a dark masculine. What are these energies? What are these archetypes? And the main teaching is that we actually have all of them inside of us. And once we are able to fully embody all of them, we stop going into relationship from a place of wanting to meet the people that have the energies we do not have inside. And we go into relationship from a place of like, I have all of these capacities to behave in all these ways inside of me. I choose when to tap into each of them. And I go into relationship still probably from a place of polarity. So I will probably be still attracted to people that have the things I don't have. But I can come from not a place of scarcity, but a place of fullness. So I know this sounds all a bit theoretical. I can give you a brief example of what these energies mean. So let's say a light feminine energy is the energy of Princess Diana or of Maria, Mother of Jesus. So this very beautiful
Surrender, maybe like giving
mother.
your face, accepting, acknowledging. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Which has all these beautiful qualities and of course also has its shadow side, right? When it's in extreme or distorted version, it will become the submissive, that is abused, that is exploited because it's just
The
a gift.
victim. Yeah.
Yeah. The dark feminine, it's nothing to do with being negative. Dark feminine, actually, the darkness here meaning more connected to the matter and to the earth rather than being connected to the light. And to the sky. So it means he's an embodied sexual being the archetype, let's say Madonna or Kali energy or Joanna d'Arc. So it's an energy, a female energy of someone that is here for no bullshit. For I cut with everything that needs to be destroyed and burned to the ground in order to allow something new to be birthed.
Like
And
a feline female, I would say.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
the energy of a lioness. Yeah, exactly. 100%. This is my cubs. I'm gonna protect them like crazy. Yeah, beautiful. Then a light masculine would be, let's say, the archetype of Dalai Lama or Jesus or someone that is very calm, very accepting, very also with sense of direction and spiritual and capacity and access to make miracles. And it's also kind of the energy of mastery through discipline, like try, and also has its distorted version, which would be the one that goes into the cave and spends the rest of their life meditating and not connecting to society. The distorted version of the dark feminine would be someone that is just causing chaos and destruction with no structure or really sense of full, like what does it come, why this destruction. And then we have the dark masculine, which is actually the most prevalent energy in our society, which is the energy of leadership of every CEO, every president in this earth is embodying that energy. So is the sense of the knight that also protects the community and the family and that fights and that works hard to achieve goals and is very mental. And of course, on the distorted side would be the abuser, the rapist, etc.
Mhm.
So how can we fully embody all these energies? In Tantra meets Shibari, that's like the biggest thing I bring to people in my retreats, is that they with the music and the ropes and the transmission, they discover that they suddenly have one of these archetypes that they perhaps never tapped into. And they discover like this force of leadership, or they discover this dark feminine sensual embodied being a man or a woman, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Like having, or they discover this, like how much they love to actually cuddle and hold someone that is completely tied up and actually submissive to their trust and their work, that they just tied them and bonded them. And yeah, and how the in the light masculine, how that the bondage can lead you to you cannot go anywhere, so you kind of go within. And when you go really deep within, you find that love inside of you that is divine. So it might be one way to deeply connect with God suddenly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing because you were describing, and I was already thinking and knowing already which would be the ones I would have more difficulty on role playing. So yeah, it's amazing. And in a different scenario, I can assume that couples could also use that to understand how their sexual energy work or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can, I think the first thing is always awareness, right? Is
Hmm.
realizing what's the energy you are most likely more comfortable with.
Hmm.
And then realizing, okay, so then probably I'm kind of lacking the opposite diagonal.
Hmm.
And maybe I ignore the two others, and or they are kind of there but not. So how can I explore also role playing with all of those in your sexual encounter with your partner? So the big thing for me in Tantra that I believe is actually the core of my mission is how to bring diversity inside a partnership, a sacred union, so that two people want to stay together for the rest of their lives in deep, soulful connection. So I have explored a lot of things in polyamory and open relating and all of that. And I have to say, I have come back to sexual monogamy, sensual. I mean, we can define all these terms a bit more, but let's say I'm a sensual polyamorous. I love playing with people at sensual level, and I'm a sexual monogamous. So I believe that that's really my transmission, is like, how can we bring all the diversity of all the humanness that we can have into our sexual connection with our partner? So then partners that go to a Tantra meets Shibari retreat can be like, okay, today I want to have a date with you and I want to be in that role. So let's test it,
Yeah,
right?
because I was already okay, but we could also work that as a couple and make a relationship grow in terms of energy exchange, and deep understanding of each other. Also, not only for yourself to understand where you do have more difficulty or where you feel more comfortable, but also to understand the opposite side on the other. Where does the other have, how can I help the other also to step out of his comfort zone and expand his heart, his energy? Oh, that's really beautiful. It's getting very curious about all of that. Um, and I have a question because you were talking about monogamy, and I have this question to myself, but I want to hear about you. Is, in your opinion,
Hmm.
is the human being monogamous or not?
So I don't have an answer for that, and I believe the answer is different for everyone. I spent 80% of my adult life in long-term committed monogamous relationships, and with men that wanted to marry me and have children, and I would lose sexual arousal after several years together, and I was confusing that with love. And
Mm.
that's why I really believe deep inside, I actually went in to do this work because I needed it for myself. And I really believe that we always teach the thing we need the most. And so I actually really needed it for my personal relationships. So after being with, 7 years with a beautiful man and losing this attraction and this arousal, I now know that with the tools I learned and all the things that I could have made it very sexy for many, many more years. I cannot tell you for how long, but I can tell you that probably for a very, very, very long time. And I kind of went full in with all my fantasies. So when I discovered Tantra and I discovered this world of polyamory, I went full on. Like I did everything I wanted to do. All my fantasies have been satisfied. I have done all the threesomes, all the foursomes, all the orgies, all the triangle relationships, all the things with two men, with three men, with I have lived all the Vicky Cristina Barcelona movies. All of it. I'm like, I'm done. It's like it's exhausting. So from my life experience, I can only share from that.
Mm.
I have reached a point where the thing my soul really longs for is a deep, sacred union in a tantric level, where we keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper with each other. And it does not mean we cannot have playfulness too, and
Mhm.
perhaps also open up to invite other people to play with us. But there is a certain level of depth that right now I really believe and feel is not possible to achieve by keep spreading the energy
With,
sideways.
yeah, with multiple different partners. Yeah,
Yeah.
because at a level, I can imagine that ideally we would be able, in a very utopic scenario, we would be able to always connect very deeply with everyone. But
Mhm.
we are not at that level, right? So we have a lot of onion, how you say it,
Layers.
layers. We have a lot of onion layers to go through until we reach that level. So yeah, it's a way. I've been myself struggling to understand if we are or not as a species
Mhm.
monogamous or not. It's something that I've been struggling with scientifically, spiritually. I'm trying to understand what makes sense. But at the end, it's like you say, it doesn't matter what makes sense, it matters what makes sense to you.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even from a biological perspective, there are many animal species that mate for life, right? And many species that don't, that are
Yeah.
very polyamorous. So even in nature, there's not really, an answer. And it's like you said, like, what is the human species designed for? I don't have the answer.
Mm.
I keep, for me, it's like, it's an individual journey of trying to listen and to acknowledge what feels the most authentic for me at any one moment. And right now, this is what feels more authentic. Maybe if we have another podcast in 10, 20 years, have some other, approach. Who knows?
And one thing that you mentioned was COVID. So COVID was a milestone in your life, right? Like it opened up to a new life. You moved, you went to Bali, you came back a different person. For me as well. So, COVID for me was the moment, and it was combined with perimenopause without knowing. I wasn't aware of that because unfortunately, women are still blind in terms of symptoms before menopause itself. But I was, as most of the women are, I was completely unaware that I was entering perimenopause. So I was entering perimenopause and I was entering COVID all at the same time. I was getting all those symptoms without knowing that I was with the symptoms. But I was starting to get a brain fog. I was starting to lose my temper more often. I was questioning everything. Why is that like this? Why do I have to do this? Oh, I'm sick of all of this, and I want a divorce, and and I was questioning all my life in the middle of COVID, in the middle of the perimenopause. And then I understood that it was my soul asking for more, because now I look back and I understand that COVID was for many of us a blessing, because it was a shift in a lot of people of career, relations, minds. And for me, it was a shift in my mind, mostly in my mind and my heart, because it was when I understood, no, this, like you said, you went to Bali, I didn't, but I went to a journey in my life. So I started with a shamanic journey, plant medicines. I finished the third level of Reiki. I started archeoenergetics. I started trying to find myself. And then finally, a few years later, I understood, oh, I'm on menopause now. So this is what happened. And I started study and study and study. And I came to this beautiful, what I like to call life mission that I have now, which is helping in this rite of passage of women around this age to enter their sovereignty, their ancient archetype, you know, how I see it, because it was actually an entire portal that opened up to me in my personal life, in my spiritual life, um, of understanding of myself, of who I am, of what I want. It's still a path, of course. I'm not a know it all yet, and probably I will never be. But it put me on the right track. And that I'm sure that now I am on the right path. A long one, but in the right path. And what I would like to also explore with you is, how does Tantra see this rite of passage? Is there a place for women that achieve this place? Because I did achieve it very early in life, so I had a very early menopause. Um, but how does Tantra, if it does see any of this?
I love your question. So, just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert. I have not done tons of research, but from what I felt in my body, what I seen in shamanic journeys, and what I see around me, and what I know from historical facts, is that the tantrikas, historically in a tribal setting, they were the menopaused woman, because they were the ones that were free from carrying babies. So they were fully able to explore sexuality and become the masters of it, the masters of pleasure, the masters of healing through pleasure, which is one of the cores of Tantra, is to heal and reach spirituality through pleasure. And I had myself a shamanic vision, not through medicine, but just through a shamanic ritual, where I saw in perhaps more than one lifetimes that I was one of these women, that in a tribal community, I
Mm-hmm.
would be together with other women waiting outside of the village for men to return from war. I would make love with them so that they would heal their wounds and their sufferings, and we would be transmuting together because of my deep tantric practices. All of this so that they could come back to their women and be in a more pure and centered place, and not bring all the wounds and all the pains into the family, causing chaos. So it was kind of a society. Yeah, I'm all goosebumps every time I tell this story.
Me too. You're talking that, and I just got it. Honestly, swear to God. You were describing it. I was absolutely, oh,
Yeah, so there's a strong likelihood you probably had that embodied experience in another lifetime. I had more one-to-one soul healing practices. And then the download I had, so basically I had all this experience with Tantra at a personal level in Bali. But then 1 year later, when I came back to Portugal and I went to the first spiritual, sexual, shamanic retreat for 1 week, at the end of that week, I knew I would spend the rest of my life teaching this, because I had a very clear message that I am a sexual healer, and I have been a sexual healer for many lifetimes. And this is the first lifetime where I'm not seen as a prostitute or as a witch or as someone that needs to be shamed or persecuted. And I'm born into this generation that is healthy, and I born into a wealthy family where I can still with some society conditionings, of course, and still with some social oppression, of course, but like my work is not illegal in the country where I was born, it's just that is huge. So yeah, I think many of us carry these codes, inside of us. You had most likely had that experience, and if you want, I'm pretty sure you will have more and you will tap into that.
Oh my God, don't push me because I am already I am already hearing you and oh my God, I have to. No, no, stop. And I said, no, not another thing. No, I need to, like the angel and the devil are already fighting for me. No, but I actually think it's a wonderful world. And it only it only makes me think we are so poor, generally speaking, energetically. What I mean by this, we live our lives, like in the automatic pilot, everything we do, everything we say. We wake up, we work, we prepare dinner, we talk with the kids, and then we go to sleep, and then we repeat it all again. And we don't pay attention to anything around us. Anything. We are like zombies. We are like sleeping, numbed. We are completely numbed here. And what I am afraid, to be honest, is that I will try and I won't make it. I will try to go into a tantra level and I won't make it because there's so many layers on top of this. There's so many things we need to release, so many cathartic moments we need before. I'm certain that you went through some of it before we actually have released all and are able to embody ourselves again. And I can imagine it takes a lot of work. So yeah, so I believe that's what's preventing me from from approaching Tantra until now. I think that's what's preventing me.
Can I?
Self-sabotage thing, something like that.
Yes, yes. Are you open to a reflection?
I am. I am. And talking about reflection, I saw something else in your profile that actually made me very curious as well as a lot of things in your profile. And it is related with real estate, tantric real estate investments. What is that? Houses, what? Tantra houses, but how do you mix things?
Thank you for asking. Yeah. So yeah, actually, just to make the link between the two, I think it's a perfect way to connect. Yeah, coming from this matrix world, as you were describing, right? The numbness and all of that, and going through perhaps the other extreme of being in this spiritual tropical island where the locals spend all the time doing rituals and celebrations, and you just feel high all the time you are there, and you are constantly healing and constantly going to processes, and everyone around you is going through the same thing and healing from burnouts and all of that. I have to say I did reach this point where I was also, I believe, doing spiritual bypassing, become spiritually and tantric arrogant. So if you are not as enlightened as me, if you cannot make love for 3 hours and feel more energized rather than tired, if you cannot reach altered states of consciousness through lovemaking and all of that, I'm not interested in you. So that was my tantric spiritual arrogance. And I do hear you and I do feel it and have felt it more in the past. And yet I believe that the next level of, if you want, maturity of enlightenment is to go back to all of these superficial ways of relating and the way that we live in this unawakened muggle world, and love it all and be in full, the most we can, or that's what I try for myself, be in full harmony with what is and finding the beauty in exactly how it is right now. And so for me, that ties into the real estate, because the real estate is really something so concrete. It's like grounding. It's physical, constructed structure that provides safety, right? Use real estate not just because of real estate. We use real estate to create homes, to create places where families live and make their life. And it can be a very profitable business.
Indeed. And nowadays, even more, I think.
Exactly. And Portugal is the perfect place.
Yes.
And I also learned that the way we create our environment, so the place where we live, of course, the people we relate to and the activities we choose to do and how we choose to spend our time, highly impacts our quality of life. So I have felt that I was decorating my house and creating beautiful little corners every time to think, okay, this is the place where I want to meditate. This is the place where I want to have an altar. This is the place where I want to make love. And actually, by having more places in the house or in the bedroom where I'm stimulated to make love, I made more love. I had much more beautiful sexual activated life when I transformed spaces in that way. So by having whatever, candles everywhere, beautiful blankets, beautiful pillows, a place with a view. So that's how it started for me. Real estate investment started as a hobby in my 20s. When I was a PhD student in the US, I bought my first house with the help and support of my mother, who is an expert and have created a real estate empire, I would say, in Portugal. So she came to the US, she spent 1 week with me, and she basically taught me how to buy a house. And then I decorated it and I created it this temple. And then I started doing that over and over again. I did it in Switzerland, I did it in Portugal. And then in my apartment now in Portugal, which is in front of the beach, which for me is again a very tantric priority, is to have an incredible nature view. I created those places. So I have a day bed in the balcony where you can be fully naked, receiving the sun, and nobody sees you. And so that place is a beautiful place to make love. My bed is raised, so my bed is very high, so that when you sit in the morning and you kind of sit on your pillow, maybe you are reading a book or something, the first thing you look when you raise from the bed is the ocean. Because if you are actually at the low level, you don't see it because the window is. So those kind of, like I have a gigantic mirror next to my bed so that I can have the visuals if I want during lovemaking. I have the bathroom with the huge window open so you can see people in the shower naked and people can see you. So already that creates a teasing. have a huge mirror in front of the shower, so you can make love in the shower and look at yourself. So, there's like all these details in the way I create spaces that whenever my friends come to my place, they started calling it the tantric apartment. So then I was like, wow, this is a thing. And then one friend came to my house and said, I want the same. So we waited for an apartment to become for sale in my building.
Mhm.
And now I'm finishing that project that I renovated the apartment with him with this approach. So I decided that this is also a very beautiful way for me to give my gift of also a tantrika in a very material and grounded way, right? Of transforming spaces, not only transforming people and allowing them to grow and heal and become more sexually embodied, but also transforming the spaces where these people can live so they can have this life that is more aligned with intimacy.
Oh, I was not aware of that. But I do have a question though.
Tell me.
According to Feng Shui, it is not good to have mirrors reflecting yourself while you are asleep. So, is that place a place where you should sleep or you just use to make love?
I mean, I
Or
think
in Tantra, that bullshit doesn't matter at all.
so for me, I don't have in this apartment specifically, I don't have many different rooms. So I could not separate the more sexual, sensual, tantric room to my bedroom. I think there's advantages and disadvantages to that. I think the advantage I've experienced for myself is that I use it a lot also in self-pleasure. So
Mm.
I have beautiful sessions with myself, looking at the mirror. Unexpectedly, I was about to go to bed. I look at myself before to go to bed and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so turned on. Or just mentally turned on, or I create the turn on intentionally through visuals and through practices and breathing and etc. Because I believe also cultivating that with intention is also part of
Mhm.
empowered, beautiful, turned on life in general. So we are more turned on not only for sexuality, but turned on for everything, for our power of creation, of business, of everything. So I love to use it as a way to have the mirror in my bedroom where I do this thing to myself and I have a lot of fun and then I fall asleep and I don't have to transition because also like when things are not convenient, we don't often do that.
Indeed. Yes.
But I do believe that there could be, like you said, in Feng Shui, like this recommendation to not sleep with the mirrors. I totally believe that's possible and that's true. Perhaps I can put a curtain,
Yeah, they
Mirror.
can. As long as it doesn't reflect your energy during night. So there's this, I don't know if I believe or not, but it's a saying that in Feng Shui you shouldn't, that the mirrors reflect the energy back to you and you don't sleep that well. So I don't know, but there's another question now that I want to make you before we close this. You mentioned with such a naturality, you look in yourself in the mirror, you get turned on, and you play with yourself.
Mhm.
Why do you think most women don't do that?
I think is the big reason is conditioning, right? We have been told since we are children that it's not a proper girl thing to do. I mean, we don't even feel comfortable to talk with our mothers about masturbation or discovering our genitals and or even looking at the mirror to our genitals, right? I think majority of women probably never even spend more than 5 minutes looking at their own vulva, right? So like just if we never been taught, we don't know what we don't know, right? So I think a big reason is lack of education and shaming and oppression and not again having the right environment to explore. I have to say one of the big things for me as an adolescent was that, yeah, I had the privilege to grow up with the jacuzzi on the rooftop of my parents' place. So I had a lot of fun as a teenager in that jacuzzi. So for me, it was just such an amazing thing that there was no way anyone was going to take that away from me. So I
Mm.
think that was a very important thing in my life. But I think majority of people don't really have these opportunities, right? And only a few years ago, I discovered about glass dildos, and that actually in
Crystal, right? Or it made
crystal.
of crystals. I don't know the glass ones, but the crystals ones, I've seen it.
So I use glass because I think crystals are energetically more powerful, but glass works equally, for me at least, amazingly too. So, I mean, we didn't grow up with knowing what a glass dildo is, right? Like, we just learn about vibrators, which are actually completely the wrong thing we should never use because they are too intense and they desensitize us. And a man does not vibrate. So, when then you go make love with a man, you are not satisfied. You just need more
Mm.
intensity. So, it's kind of like the pornography bad information that causes to men is the equivalent, I would say, of vibrators to women. Like,
Mm.
I really believe we should not use them. And yeah, I think just cultivating, being a continuous, curious, that wants to continue to learn about yourself and being humble enough to be, I can still be better at this. And
Mm.
let's continue learning until we die, right? I think that's the.
Do you think a woman should invest in knowing herself sexually first? Or is that something she can always grow, understand, evolve with a partner?
Oh, I truly believe there is a layer that is only possible when you really explore yourself, also,
Mm.
or first, or yeah, because if you never question how you really like it or how you really want it without anyone else around, just the true rawness of you with you, I think everyone, every woman and man can find many answers when you are alone.
Indeed. And now I'm sorry, I have to pose another question. What was the biggest, if you could find one, what was the biggest transformation for yourself since you started this path?
Wow, I think it was a bit mentioning what you mentioned before, the fear of failing.
Mm.
Okay, so I went from fear of failing to be like, I got my spiritual calling, God is behind my back, and everything's gonna work out. And being a bit careless about material assets and trusting that everything I would do in the path of following my life mission, it will always work out because I'm doing the right thing now. I'm not like conditioning myself anymore. And that was the most challenging, like, because it did not work the way I told myself it would. And so I was like being again humble enough to be like, okay, I know how to make money. I kind of thought I knew how to be a tantrika. The two are still yet to be met, and how to keep evolving and growing with the two and keep
Mm.
building the life in the material side and in the spiritual side that keeps evolving and growing and expanding together.
It's a good thing that you said how you put the material part and the spiritual part all together. Like there's a silo there, right? So if you're too spiritual, you don't care about money. If you care too much about money, you're not that spiritual. There's still like the vision of the poor priest that lives on how you call it on others, that depends on all others
Yeah,
to
yeah.
eat, to generosity of others, and the generosity of others, and that is also a challenge for people. Yeah, to see money as an exchange, an energy as well that
Mhm.
they need to exchange. So it's also a challenge. Go
When
ahead.
you are the product and your message is the product, there is huge layers of ego death and oh, am I good enough and worthiness and to work through that takes time. And I think yeah, allowing the time to be there and then being trusting that also I can be of service to others now in my expertise. So
Mm.
again, the real estate for me is another thing like that. I know now that when I enter a place, I can feel so much that I kind of know if it is the right place to buy or not. And just trusting that gut feeling and then putting money into that, it's like, okay, you are combining the two. So I really believe now that I can really support people to find the right places for them. And I can help also assets to be released. So when a place needs to be sold, let's say, there is still often a lot of energy trapping that in that space from all the memories and all the things you lived. And I have seen that in my family. My
Mm.
family really struggled to sell the house where we spend majority of our life as a family, and I'm like 100% confident it was not just because of the asking price and whatever, it was like we were still very energetically connected to that place, and we were really struggling to let go. So yeah, I think when you kind of are okay with living in these two realities, then a lot of things can open up.
What a beautiful message to end our podcast. But first, I want to ask you our common question to our guests. Who is Filipa of script, fora de roteiro? Who is Filipa?
Oh, wow. Who is Filipa? Mm, I mean, I'm just a girl who is, yeah, very emotional and very sensitive and loves beauty and nature and adrenaline and extreme sports and art and poetry and beauty and movement and dance. And is here to also have a beautiful, joyful, simple life as a human.
Nice. That you almost touched all the colors of the spectrum of what it is to be a woman.
Oh,
Really
really?
nice.
Good.
Yeah. Filipa, if people want to find you, where they can find you?
So
If I
everywhere.
want a house, if I want a house, or a tantric house, or if I want to learn tantra, to have a tantric massage, to experience one of your retreats, where can I find you?
Okay, thank you for the question. So you can find me Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, website. I also have a WhatsApp group, admin only. So I only publish my retreats and when I attend to festivals or when I have offers. So there's no spamming. I have the equivalent on Telegram. And I have the equivalent as a mailing list. So I don't send newsletters, I don't spam people, but whenever I have an offering, I broadcast it also by email. So reach out to me on any of those platforms. In Instagram, I'm the Filipa Moniz, and on the other platforms, just Filipa Moniz. And besides the historical wife of Christopher Columbus, who was also Filipa Moniz, I think there will not be many at the moment that you'll be able to find me.
And I will put all of your pages in the legend of the episode. Filipa, any last message you want to say?
Hmm. I think if we are here together, so with everyone that is listening to us, at some point, it means we are all on the path of wanting to know ourselves better and living a more happy and fulfilled life. So, wherever we are now, it's already great. So, I want to send a prayer to all of us to feel fulfilled and grateful for where we are right now. So, we can keep growing with feeling full. And
Mm.
I say it to myself too.
Thank you, Filipa. That was lovely. Thank you for your laughter, for your energy, for your wisdom that you brought here today, for all the topics that we were able to navigate. And it was a pleasure for me to have you here. And I'm even more curious now. I was before. I was hoping to get my curiosity satisfied. No, I'm sorry. Goal not fulfilled. I'm even more curious. So, but it was a pleasure to have you here, Filipa. I hope you enjoyed and you felt nurtured during this time.
So much. You are an incredible listener, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
Vanessa, and thank you so much for holding this space for me and for all of us. Yeah.
Thank you. And for those listening, para vocês que estão a ouvir, vemo-nos para a semana. See you next week.